Here's a number that should bother you: 57%. That's the share of community college main campuses in this country that have a specific transit stop within a quarter mile, within walking distance. 57%, which means for a huge number of students, showing up to class is not an academic problem, it's a logistics problem. And in rural areas, the Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland, Western Maryland, that number gets worse, not better. Hi, I'm John Wright. I'm the owner of Drive On Time Driving School. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about the thing that fixes that problem. Let's talk about your license. And specifically, let's talk about why every month you wait, it's costing you something real. Maryland runs a graduated licensing program called Rookie Driver. It's one of the more demanding systems in the country, and here's the part people miss. The clock doesn't start until you walk into the MVA. You can't shortcut it. You can't cram it. You can't decide in March that you want a license by prom. The state has built into the process a waiting period. So the only variable you actually control is when do you start. Here's the timeline. First step, learner's permit. You can apply at 15 years and 9 months old, not 16, 15 years, 9 months, right? You need proof of identity, proof of social security number. If you're under 16, school attendance verification form. So like if you want a permit at 15 and 9, you have to go to your school guidance counselor first. Get that form DL 300, filled out by your guidance counselor, get it in a sealed envelope, and then take it with you to the MVA. If you're under 18, a parent or guardian has to co-sign for you. Okay, so you will need to be able to prove they are your parent or guardian, which means you may need some legal documents like birth certificate, etc. Then you pass a vision screening and a knowledge test. That's it. That's the whole gate stopping you from getting your permit. So pretty easy to overcome, especially if you have some help from a parent or a coach. The second step, hold the permit and then put in the work, the practice work that needs to be done. While you hold the permit, there's 3 things that have to happen. First of all, driver's ed. Maryland certified program, 30 hours of classroom instruction and 6 hours behind the wheel. The requirement applies at every age. It doesn't matter if you're 92, if you're 50, if you're 16, you're 18, you're 25. And it doesn't matter how much practice you've had. It doesn't matter if you've been driving without a license, and already know how to drive. It doesn't matter. If you haven't had driver's ed and you can't prove you've gone to a driver's ed class, there's no age at which Maryland lets you skip it. Supervised practice hours. If you're under 25, you have to do 60 hours of supervised driving, including at least 10 hours at night. Your supervising driver has to be at least 21 years old and have held a license for at least 3 years. They have to be sitting with you in the front seat. They can't be asleep in the back seat. They help you complete your log, and you'll bring that signed practice log with you to the road test. Okay, 60 hours. Let that land for a minute. If you drive 2 hours a week, that's 7.5 months of practice, right? That's 2 hours a week. So if you don't start and you don't drive, you're not going to get that time, in time to do your driving test. And if you never even skip a week, right? And you drive 2 hours a week, that's 7.5 months. Okay. Then there's a holding period. Even if you did 10 hours a day, right? You still have to hold the permit because, most people aren't going to do 10 hours a day, right? So there's a holding period. So if you're under 18, you have to hold it for 9 months. You have to hold your permit before testing for your license. Got to hold that permit for 9 months. If you're 18 and you've already got your high school diploma, then you can shorten that holding period to about 3 months. If you're 19 to 24, then it's automatically shortened to 3 months. Okay. But you still have to do that 60-hour rookie log. Okay. 25 or older, it's shortened to 45 days. Here's the trapdoor. If you get a moving violation on your permit, any kind of conviction or even PBJ, the holding period restarts at 9 months, regardless of your age. So even if you're 19 and you only have to hold it for 3 months, if you get a ticket, it automatically resets to 9 months. Okay. So step 3, the provisional license, minimum age 16 and 6, 16 years, 6 months old. You pass the behind the wheel skills test, and now you can drive alone. Okay, you got your provisionals, you can drive alone with some restrictions if you're under 18. So under 18 restrictions, no passengers under 18 who aren't immediate family for the first 151 days. That's about 5 months. No driving after midnight to 5 a.m. There is a curfew for under 18. Okay, unless it's like you're working late at a job and you can prove you're working, or you have some kind of school event and you can prove that. I highly recommend having a note from your boss or from someone at your school, to prove that you're actually, doing something work-related or school-related. Otherwise, you could get a ticket anyway and then have to prove it in court, which is a big pain. Just avoid that up front and have some evidence or someone you can call to verify what you're really doing if you are under 18 and planning to drive after midnight. No phone, no hands-free, 0 alcohol, right? Under 18 or on a provisional license, right? Just got a brand new license, you should not be on the phone. Not even hands-free is allowed. So don't even try it. 0 alcohol, of course, that's a no-brainer. Step 4, this is the easy part. The full license. You need 18 months with a clean record, no tickets for 18 months. And guess what? You held that provisional license for 18 months, and you haven't gotten any tickets, no convictions, no PBJs, and you get your full license. It gets mailed out to you, a conversion card. That's the simplest part. But if you get a conviction or PBJ, that 18-month clock restarts from 0. And if you get multiple violations on your provisionals, they can suspend or revoke it. Very common. You should not be getting tickets if you just received your license, right? You should be driving very carefully. The most careful time you should be driving, with the utmost care, continually while you have that license. If you don't, you get a ticket. That 18-month clock restarts to 0, and you have to let it start counting up again. Let's run 2 examples. Maya applies for her permit the week she turns 15 and 9 months. 9 months, she's got to hold it for 9 months. She does driver's ed over the summer and logs her 60 hours with her aunt. She tests at 16 and a half. 18 clean months later, she has a full unrestricted Maryland license at 18. The same month, she graduates high school. Devin figures he'll get to it eventually. He's busy. He gets his permit at 19. 3 months hold at 19. Yeah, it's shorter, but he still needs the same 30 classroom hours, the same 6 hours behind the wheel, the same 60 practice hours with 10 at night, and he still needs a supervising driver who's over 21 and 3 years of driving experience. At 19, that person isn't automatically living in his house. Realistically, he's got a provisional around 20 maybe, and maybe fully licensed at 21 and a half. Same system, same requirements, same effort, just a little older. Devin lost 3.5 years of driving, earlier. Waiting till 25 does shrink the paperwork, 45 days instead of 9 months, 14 practice hours instead of 60. But if you think waiting is easier, no, I don't think so. Look at what you're trading. You're trading a decade of your working life with no license, working, going to school with no license, right? That's not a discount. That's literally the most expensive trade-off you'll ever experience in life. This is the part nobody puts on a poster. We know what happens to people who lose their license, and it's a decent proxy for what happens. It's similar to what if you never got one. Someone who lost a license, it's just a direct comparison that we can make a comparison to apply what happens when you lose a license to roughly similar to what if you never got a license in the first place. This study is from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. They ran the biggest study on what happens to people when they lose their license. 42% of people whose licenses were suspended lost their jobs within 6 months. And of the people who lost a job, roughly 45% could not find new work while they were still unlicensed. Not struggled, could not find new work. Separate analysis estimated that people dealing with debt-related license suspensions were associated with a median annual earnings loss of about $12,700. In a Phoenix program, more than half of the participants lost jobs after suspension. And when licenses were reinstated, 53% got new jobs. The license came back, and then the work came back with it. Here's what's underneath all of that. Employers use a driver's license as a screening question. Even for jobs where you never touch a steering wheel, it reads to them as reliability. It's fair or not fair, that's the filter. Employers look at whether you have a license as their filter. The jobs you're getting filtered out of are not exotic jobs. They're like home health aide, construction, auto service, delivery, HVAC, landscaping. Any job that you might want that has more than one job site. It's automatic. If you don't have a license, it's going to be very difficult getting a job at one of those employers. On the Eastern Shore, that's not a niche. That's our whole economy. Now stack the school piece on top of it, okay? Back to that 57%. Remember that 57% of schools had limited public transportation. Just over half of the community college campuses in America have transit within walking distance, right? Half. Another quarter could be transit accessible with modest route extensions, meaning right now they aren't, right? They aren't accessible. And rural campuses frequently have no public transit at all or very limited schedule transit. Researchers who study community college completion keep landing on the same finding. For a lot of students, the thing that ends the degree isn't the coursework, it's the logistics, transportation, childcare, car that doesn't work. The Urban Institute lists transportation access as a core factor in upward mobility, precisely because it gates everything else. It's a gate to work, gate to school, gate to healthcare, everything. And here's what it looks like in practice, because it's rarely one dramatic moment. You can't take the 8 a.m. section, so you take the one that conflicts with your shift. You skip the internship because it's 20 minutes past the bus stop. You turn down the promotion because it moved to another location. You drop the class in week 9 because your ride fell through 3 times and you can't afford a 4th. Nobody quits. It just gets quietly impossible. A license doesn't guarantee you a degree, but not having one puts a ceiling on which programs, which shifts, which internships, which jobs are even available for you to say yes to. And you cannot climb through a ceiling that you cannot see. One more thing, and it's the one that often gets ignored: 60 hours of supervised practice, including 10 at night. It's not a bureaucratic hoop. That is the state making sure that someone sits next to you while you learn to handle rain, nighttime driving, merging, panic stops in front of you. The people who get that experience when they're, young, living at home, get it for free in a car they didn't have to buy, next to someone who's been doing it for 20 years. If you wait too long and you're learning all that alone on your own insurance, your own schedule, with real consequences and nobody in the passenger seat, and if you're 25 and up, Maryland only asks you for 14 practice hours instead of 60, which means the system that would have made you thorough is now letting you off easy at the exact moment you can the least afford to be underprepared. Get the free coaching now. Get it while you're at home. Get it while you're under 18. Get it before you graduate. So here's what you do this week. Okay, we've already discussed why it's important, right? So what do you do? How do I change the trajectory of my life? If you're 15 and 9 months or older, go to mva.maryland.gov, make an appointment, download the driver manual, take the practice tests. The permit is the one appointment. It's all done in one appointment. You go there, you get your knowledge test, your vision screening, your cosigner, all that gets done if you need it, all in one shot. Do it when you're 15 and 9 or 16. If you're under 15 and 9, count the months. Put the date on your phone right now. Start studying the manual out a month out. If you're 18, 20, 24, or even 40, you've not missed anything. The path is the same and the wait is shorter. Start this month and get it done. If you're a parent, the 60 hours are yours too. 10 of them are at night. Start the log the day the permit shows up in the mail. And whatever your age, do not get a moving violation on that permit. One ticket resets everything, and it can even suspend your permit, and it can cause a requirement to do other classes, which costs more money. Not just the ticket. There's more classes, more penalties. Don't get a ticket before with driving without a license, driving without a permit. Don't get a ticket on the permit. Be very careful and obey the law, follow the law. Now, Maryland's going to make you wait either way. The only question is whether you're waiting now, when you're in school, when someone can practice with you, when the clock really costs you nothing, or whether you're waiting later, right, when the clock is costing you the car, the insurance, the gas, the time to drive, the work you miss while you're out practicing driving. So start the clock, right? Do it today. Get it going. You can do it. And we're happy to help. I'm John Wright, Drive on Time Driving School. Smash that subscribe button. We're going to be doing more videos like this that are all very right on point about how do you practice, how do you do it safely. This is just one update video. You can go to our website if you're in our area, www.driveontimedrivingschool.com. But whatever you do, wherever you live, whatever school and whatever school is close to you that you trust, get your permits, get into a good driving school, start your practice with your parents, and you'll never regret it. You'll never regret getting your license. You'll never regret getting your license before you graduate high school. Okay, so good luck, drive safe, and do your best. All right, thanks. Bye.